So Belle, are you excited about me coming to your school today?
Of course I am, Mommy. Glad you have a new job of being Miss Macie's new assistant teacher along with Mrs. Suzuki.
Me too, my daughter, Mrs. Suzuki, and I will be assisting Miss Macie in teaching her class.
And hey Kayla, happy for you to join as well.
Thanks, and good morning to you too, by the way.
Okay Belle, we're here at your school. Let's go in.
Okay Mommy.
Gosh Mommy, I'm so happy you and Mrs. Strawberry are assisting Miss Macie here at our school.
Me too, Kubo. Miss Macie wanted to have assistant teachers of her own, and I'm one of them. We're just waiting for Belle and Mrs. Strawberry to come.
Okay then.
Hey Mrs. Suzuki.
Hey Kubo.
Well, hey to you too, Belle. Guess what? My mother is assisting Miss Macie for the second semester.
Same with my mommy.
So Mrs. Strawberry, ready to get inside the classroom?
Sure. But there's just one single problem. Where's Miss Macie's classroom?
I think I can help. Miss Macie's classroom has the number 6 on it.
Okay. Where's the classroom door that has the number 6 on it?
This door here in the middle.
Okay, thanks. Okay kids, we will be going inside Miss Macie's classroom. We'll see you at recess, so good luck.
You too, Mom.
Gather around my class, it is time for our morning circle time. Guess what? I have 2 special announcements I'd like to make, and it is really exciting.
What are the 2 exciting announcements you wanted to tell us, Miss Macie?
Well, Chloe, today we get to have 2 assistant teachers joining our class for our second semester.
Oh boy, we get to have 2 assistant teachers here.
That is right, Mimi. They'll be here in a moment. Now our other announcement that we will be going on a trip to SeaWorld in March, which is in the next 2 months.
Wow. We get to go to SeaWorld in 2 months. That's cool.
But what is SeaWorld?
Well, Sophia, SeaWorld is a theme park where you get to see lots of sea animals like fish, seals, penguins, and others that you get to look at.
My favorite is the seals, they're my favorite. Tell me about it. My favorite is the dolphins, they're really funny.
I know you're all excited about our field trip to SeaWorld that's coming in 2 months. But enough of that, it's time to meet your new assistant teachers. Oh, that's them at the door. You may come in.
Hey Miss Macie.
Hey Miss Macie. Are you kidding me? Those teachers are really stupid, especially that Asian teacher. This is going to be totally lame.
It's great to see you for the first time, Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki.
You too, Miss Macie.
We're glad to assist you for the second semester.
Class, say hello to Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki. They are going to be our assistant teachers for the rest of this year.
It is very nice to meet you all. And Chloe and Benjamin, I've recognized you two before. You must be Zack and Heather's little sister and brother.
Yes, we are Mrs. Strawberry.
We're happy that you get to be part of our class.
Why thanks Chloe and Benjamin. Me and Mrs. Strawberry are old friends from high school.
We'll be helping your teacher assist you and helping you with your problems. Hopefully we have fun and get along very well.
No, I don't think so. I don't want you ugly strawberry head and Japanese teachers. You both are nothing but crappy assistant teachers, and nobody wants you in our classroom anyway. Now go back to where you belong and get lost, you ugly losers.
Well, how extremely rude and disrespectful. How could you insult us and call us foul names?
I agree with Mrs. Strawberry, that is not nice to say to your teachers.
Danya, how could you insult Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki? That is it, young lady. You will have detention during recess today and you will be writing an apology letter to your new teachers.
We all have to agree with Mrs. Macie. You are being disrespectful and impolite to our new assistant teachers.
Yeah. Learn how to use good manners and show more respect.
But Miss Macie, I can't help it. I just don't like the new teachers.
Well, you're going to have to deal with them. Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki are your assistant teachers of this class, and you will treat her with respect. Do I make myself clear?
Whatever.
I said, do I make myself clear, Tranya?
Yes, Miss Macie.
That's what we thought.
Alright class, today we will be doing some spelling. We'll show you an object, and you have to name the letters of the word. Here's this picture of a cat. There are 3 letters in it. Who can spell the word cat? Yes, Anna.
I know, it's C-A-T. That is how you spell cat.
That is right, Anna.
Now here's a picture of a dog. Who can spell it? Yes, Emily.
It's D-O-G. That's how the word dog is spelled.
Well done.
Here's a picture of a horse. There are 5 letters in this one. Can one of you spell it out? Julian.
H-O-R-S-E, horse.
You're getting a hang of this.
Now here's a hard one. How is the word elephant spelled? Mimi?
E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T, elephant.
Amazing job, everyone.
Now, who can spell the word lion? Thomas.
L-I-O-N, lion.
That is correct.
Now how do you spell the word tiger? Julia.
T-I-G-E-R, tiger.
Great job, guys. You're really good at spelling animal names.
Okay, now we're going to do some rhyming. Yes, Kevin?
What is rhyming, Miss Macie?
Well, rhymes are correspondences of sounds between words or the endings of words. We will be using the word at for today. And Caleb, would you like to try teaching the class?
Of course. Here's the word at. Each word will have the letters A and T at the end. Here are 6 words, and they're missing a beginning letter.
Caleb is right, we need to add a certain beginning letter to each word. We also need 6 students who will help complete the at words. Who can think of any letter to put in the first word? Julian.
I know, try the letter B.
Okay, that will work. Someone else? Yes, Olivia.
Try the letter C.
Yeah, C works as well. Yes, Ellie?
How about an H at the beginning?
Good job, guys. Victor.
Try the letter M. You're getting a hang of this.
Paisley.
What if it starts with an R?
Very good. We only have one more word to go. What other letter should we use? Benjamin.
How about 2 letters F and L together?
Wow, that's a smart answer. We found all 6 at words: bat, cat, mat, rat, and flat. And Benjamin, you get a bonus for choosing 2 letters for our last at word, and a homework pass for today.
Hooray. Thanks, Miss Macie, Mrs. Strawberry, and Mrs. Suzuki.
You're welcome. Now you all may go out for recess.
Gosh, Timberly and Natalia, your sandcastle is amazing. I agree with my twin sister. Great work right there.
Thank you, Molly and Millie.
I agree with Timberly. Glad you girls liked it.
Say, our classmates Kubo and Belle told us that their mothers came to assist Miss Macie, which are Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki.
Wait, did you say Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki are in this school?
Yes, Mei Ling, Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki are here to teach Miss Macie's class this second semester.
Wow, that's great. Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki are from our daycare center 3 years ago.
Really?
Yes, Molly and Millie, Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki are such good daycare teachers.
But at daycare, Zack and Heather were misbehaving all the time. Evil Chibi Lily and Evil Chibi Boy helped them as well.
Oh yeah, Evil Chibi Boy was in our class last year, and he did a lot of bad things to my friends, like bullying Miami last year, writing a mean letter to Mrs. Liu especially on Molly and Millie's birthday 11 months ago, taking his shirt off during last year's Christmas choir rehearsal which is inappropriate, doing a terrible prank on the principals on April Fool's Day 9 months ago, and more bad stuff.
Oh gosh, we're sorry he did all this to you girls.
You don't have to apologize, Natalia. You weren't at our school last year. But gladly this year we're happy to have you and the other cute girls here.
Thanks Sompu, we're glad to have you at the same school as us.
Oh Mrs. Strawberry, me, my siblings, and even my other friends are happy to get a new job here to assist Miss Macie along with Mrs. Suzuki.
I have to agree with Kobe. Nice to meet you for the first time, Mrs. Strawberry.
Why thank you, little Yuki, this is our first time here at your school.
I have to agree with Mrs. Strawberry. We helped assist Miss Macie and taught her students some spelling and rhyming.
That's great! We missed you for 2 years.
I agree with Jasmine. I bet Timberly and the other cute girls are happy to see you again. Yeah, especially Molly, Millie, and who wanted to meet you as well.
Thanks Jasmine, Zoe, and Miami.
No problem Mrs. Suzuki. My name is Lila by the way.
And also these are our new friends who are bouncing on the trampoline like us, which are little Yuki and Kaito.
Say, can me, little Yuki, and our other friends have a talk with you during lunch?
Sure Kaito.
Okay Mrs. Suzuki.
Mrs. Suzuki, me, Sophia, and Ellie are happy that you are part of our class.
I agree with Emily. You and Mrs. Strawberry are such good teachers to us like our original teacher Miss Macie.
Yeah. Also, you were from Building Blocks Academy Daycare Center where Chloe and Benjamin's big brother and sister Zack and Heather went. Huh? Yes Ellie. Back in February 2021, I was Mrs. Strawberry's assistant teacher. We had so much fun learning together.
That's cool Mrs. Suzuki.
Yeah, what my brother Lucas said. Our big sister Jasmine had fun with you back then.
And Julian, Olivia, Iriana, Ellie, Sophia, and Emily, I see you painted some pictures.
Yes we are. But we are not done with them yet. When they're finished, we'll show you.
And us 6 are reading a story. It's more fun with you and Mrs. Strawberry here.
I have to agree with Bethany. I also heard you both met in high school.
Yes I did, Maria.
According to Mrs. Suzuki, she told the cute girls all about her true story. And now it's my turn to tell it to you kids.
Okay then Caleb. Tell us the true story.
Okay Olivia. So this starts for a really long time when Mrs. Suzuki was 16 years old. Mrs. Suzuki along with her parents moved to our country, because her dad had a new job, as she got transferred to a different school for getting a very high grade. Mrs. Suzuki also was born in Tokyo, Japan by the way.
That's amazing Caleb. I bet Mrs. Suzuki is really happy for her dad.
It sure is Thomas. Now here's the part where Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki met each other. When Suzuki came to her new school on her first day, 2 girls that were bullies came up to her and actually threatened to beat her up because she is a new Japanese student.
Oh my gosh, Mrs. Suzuki was bullied by those 2 girls? Unbelievable. Yeah. They should know that bullying in school is never allowed, just like when evil chibi boy, Chloe, Sophia, and Zizi bullied Mayumi at school last year that Ellie, Sophia, and Emily mentioned.
You have a good point. The female bullies kept on picking on Mrs. Suzuki and insulting her every day, making her have to suffer. But luckily, Mrs. Strawberry somehow stands up for Mrs. Suzuki by telling the principal. And of course, due to bullying, the girls deserve an expulsion. Mrs. Strawberry became such a hero as she saved Mrs. Suzuki by getting the bullies expelled.
What Caleb is saying is true. Mrs. Strawberry and I had great times with each other as best friends. We were chatting, studying together, going to the cinema, having a slumber party, and even graduated from high school.
I mean, Mrs. Strawberry is such a great friend. We're really happy for you both.
I have to agree with Elizabeth.
Yes, glad Mrs. Strawberry stood up for you.
And she even stopped the other females from bullying you.
Also, thanks for telling us the plot, Caleb.
No problem, Ellie. Now I'll go check on Mrs. Strawberry and your other classmates.
Okay, Caleb.
So yeah, Mrs. Strawberry, we're glad you and Mrs. Suzuki are part of our class.
I agree with Anthony. Also, you're from Building Blocks Academy Daycare, huh?
Yes, Victor. I had fun teaching my students.
I thought so too. The cute girls were awesome students in your daycare class, including the other students, except Zack and Heather, although they improved last year. Evil Chibi Lily, Evil Chibi Boy, Classic Chibi Lily, Classic Chibi Boy, Chloe, Sophia, Zizi, Classic Caleb Jr., and CJ still continue to misbehave everywhere they go.
Oh, I see. Zack and Heather learned how to behave better.
Of course. I mean, can our school semester get any better?
I know, right, Arlene? Miss Macie is also glad to have two new assistants like you and Mrs. Suzuki.
I agree with the others. Say, Zack and Heather misbehave and get in trouble at daycare, haven't they?
Yes, Jonathan, Zack and Heather used to be my worst students in my class back in 2020, 2021, and the first half of 2022.
Oh yeah, Chloe and Benjamin told all of us that on our first day.
I heard. You guys really cared about Zack and Heather often.
So Mrs. Strawberry, what kind of bad things did Zack and Heather do at daycare?
Lots of bad stuff, Jessica. Like being rude to Mrs. Suzuki back in 2021, Zack blowing his nose on Mrs. Suzuki's skirt, taking his shirt off in the assembly, as well as kissing Mrs. Bell, peeing in Mrs. Garcia's juice, Zack and Heather not wearing green on 2021 St. Patrick's Day, as well as messing themselves, and lots more until September 2022.
Oh my, that was chaos.
I have to agree with Ruby.
And the worst action is where Lou Perfection from the Ugly Dolls was involved in. Not only he keep on treating Melody Luna like garbage, he helped Zack and Heather assassinate their parents. And Chloe and Benjamin felt depressed because of Lou helping their big brother and sister murder them.
Yeah, what my sister Annie said, Caleb. Shame on Lou for doing that, and luckily he got arrested for 3 to 4 months.
But don't worry, Zack and Heather improved better back in September 2022, and the family reunited together.
And in August, we met Zack and Heather, who are Chloe and Benjamin's big brother and sister. They are nice friends to us and are never bullies to us.
Wow, Zack and Heather did improve. Thanks for telling me, and I'll meet them again during lunch.
Okay, Mrs. Strawberry.
And Caleb, you can too.
Thanks.
So yeah, Mrs. Strawberry, you and Mrs. Suzuki were assisting Miss Macie for this semester.
I agree with Zack, you did a great job right there. Also, we are sorry for misbehaving and getting in trouble at daycare every day back in 2020 to mid-2022.
It's okay, Zack and Heather, Mrs. Suzuki and I will accept your apology. Also, I heard you made friends with these other preschoolers.
Yes, we have.
That's awesome to hear. And Max and Amy, I haven't seen you guys since last year. How was your year with Miss Garcia and Mr. N lately?
Very good, Mrs. Strawberry. We had great times with them along with our other classmates.
I agree with my brother. Last year our teacher was Mrs. Lou. Also Evil Chibi Boy, Chloe, Sophia, and Zizi misbehaved that year too.
Oh really? Evil Chibi Boy still misbehaves at school?
Yes, he did. He just got lunch detention for cheating off my work.
Well, good. That'll teach him. But anyways, glad you two are having fun. And are these your siblings next to you?
Yes, they are. These are my nephews. The orange one is Jake, and the yellow one is Jordan.
These are my nieces. The one in red and magenta is Annie, and one in blue and purple is Anna.
That's great.
I agree with Mrs. Strawberry.
Me too with Heather.
So Belle and Kubo, isn't it fun seeing Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki here?
Yeah, and actually Mrs. Strawberry is my mommy.
And Mrs. Suzuki is actually my mom.
Wait, so you're Mrs. Strawberry's daughter and Mrs. Suzuki's son?
Yes, Olivia, Mrs. Strawberry has her own daughter named Belle, while Mrs. Suzuki has her son named Kubo. They take care of their children well.
I have to agree with Natalia. Kubo and Belle told us that during class.
That's great for you guys. Also, Miss Macie talked to Miss Garcia and said that every day, after lunch, Zack and Heather will be assisting Chloe and Benjamin in her class.
I agree with Julian. And Belle, it was fun learning things with your mother Mrs. Strawberry. And Kubo, it was fun learning things with your mother Mrs. Suzuki.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, glad you get to see our moms more often this semester.
Okay everyone, lunch and recess is over. So it's time to go back to the classroom and begin our next lesson.
Hey, I can hear Mrs. Suzuki.
It's time for us to go back to class.
That is right, Zoe.
Come on, guys.
Okay, class. Now that we are back from lunch recess, we will count by fives all the way to 100.
Yes, Sophia.
How do you count by fives, Mrs. Strawberry?
Well, counting by fives is simple. We'll show you an example. Here is a math problem. Let's say if we have 5, and we add 5 more. So how much do we have now? Yes, Jamie.
I know, 5 plus 5 makes 10, Mrs. Suzuki.
Yes, the answer would be 10. How about this one? If you add another 5 to the 10, how much do you have now? Chloe? The answer is 15.
That's right, Chloe.
Yeah, good job, Chloe and Heather. And now we know, when counted by 5, it is in a pattern of 5s and 0 S's at the end. It goes first with a 5, followed by a 0, and then continues. This pattern never stops, it keeps on going on.
Now, who is smart enough to count by 5 to 100?
Hey Mrs. Strawberry, I think I can count by 5 to 100.
Okay, Ariana.
It goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100.
Wow, Ariana, that was excellent.
I had to agree. Those are the 20 multiples of 5 that can take you to 100. And I know how to count by 5s all the way up to 1000.
Oh gosh. All the way to 1000? But that's a large number, Caleb. How can you count by 5s to 1000?
Well, Bethany, 200 multiples of 5 can take you there. I'll show you. So to get to 1000, we count by 5s to get there. We already do that. The first 20 multiples take you to 100. If we add another 20 multiples, that'll be 40, which takes you to 200.
That's cool, Caleb.
I agree with Ellie.
Try adding another 20.
Sure. So our third group of 20 multiples is 60, taking you to 300. This fourth group of 20 multiples adds to 80, which will get you 400. And the fifth group is another 20, which is 100. And 100 multiples of 5 take you to 500.
Whoa! 100 multiples of 5 gives you 500. That's crazy.
And you're halfway to 1000. You probably need 100 more multiples of 5 to complete it.
Here's our sixth group of 20, which gives you 120 multiples of 5. So that's 600. In our seventh group, 140 multiples of 5 take you to 700. In our eighth group, 160 multiples of 5 take you to 800. In our group 9, 180 multiples take you to 900. And finally in group 10, 200 multiples take you to 1000.
That's tremendous, Caleb. You must have been in algebra.
I agree with my sister. And now we know, 200 multiples of 5 gives you 1000.
Exactly. He knows a lot about skip counting by any number.
I mean, Caleb is really smart. Last time on our first day here, we learned all the colors. Caleb learned how to mix primary and secondary colors to get tertiary ones.
I have to agree with Benjamin, you have great knowledge skills, Caleb.
Thank you.
And everyone including Zack and Heather, you all may have free time until the end of the day. Zack, Heather, Chloe, and Benjamin, you four have been excellent today. Same goes to you, Belle and Kubo. You should be proud of your mothers.
Thank you, Miss Macie.
And great job, Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki, on your first day working here at our school.
Same goes to you, my mother.
Thank you. I'm glad Mrs. Suzuki and I had a great time.
I have to agree with Mrs. Strawberry. We always love coming here to assist Miss Macie.
And as for you, Miss Macie, fantastic job having 2 new assistant teachers for your class.
Thank you, Belle. Hopefully I get to see you and Kubo's mothers again tomorrow.
Us too.
So kids, how was school today?
It went great, Mummy. Benjamin and I had 2 new assistant teachers in class.
Yeah. Their names are Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki from Building Blocks Academy Daycare that our big brother and sister went to.
That's great, Chloe and Benjamin. Glad you had a great time.
And after lunch, Heather and I assisted our siblings as well.
Wonderful to hear, Zack and Heather. Great job looking after your little sister and brother.
I agree with your mother, you both will be ungrounded when you get home.
Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad.
So yeah, another great day this year. We get to have 2 new assistant teachers, Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki.
I have to agree with Chloe, and thanks to Zack and Heather for assisting us.
No problem, Chloe and Benjamin. We're glad you had fun with them.
I agree with Zack. We now like our former teachers as we apologize to them for the chaos we caused.
Same here with Heather. Anyways, what's your favorite part of this day?
My favorite is where you told us a true story of how Mrs. Strawberry and Mrs. Suzuki met each other and became friends at high school.
My favorite is when we were doing spelling and rhyming words together as a class.
And my favorite is where you told us how to count by 5s all the way to 1000. You must have been in algebra.
And my favorite is where my brother and I assisted Chloe and Benjamin in their classroom.
That's wonderful. What a day for all of us.
Oh kids, we have someone wants to talk to you on the phone.
Okay. What is it?
Well, Zack, Mrs. Strawberry's daughter and Mrs. Suzuki's son wanted to see you guys.
Really? Let us see.
Well, hey Zack, Heather, Chloe, and Benjamin. Anyways, my mother has planned something special tonight.
Wow, Belle, that's amazing. What is it?
Well, Zack, our mothers are taking us out to eat at Chili's to celebrate.
Wonderful to hear, Kubo.
Glad you get to hang out with each other while you're out.
And as a reward, we all will be eating out at Chili's as well.
Wow, Dad, that will be so epic.
I agree with Heather. Thank you.
No problem, kids.
And yeah, my mommy asked that you guys can come too. You all earned it.
I agree with my BFF. Anyways, we are getting ready to go. And meet you at the restaurant on the way.
And Caleb, thanks for joining our mommies on our first day at our school. Anyways, see you soon, guys.
You too, Belle and Kubo.
Also, it's time for all of us to go too.
Okay, Mom. But can we say goodbye to our first?
Sure, you may.
We'll meet you guys outside.
Alright, Caleb. We're all going to Chili's for dinner along with Mrs. Strawberry, Mrs. Suzuki, Belle, and Kubo.
Yeah, what my brother said. And thanks for playing with us, by the way.
No problem. Also, I have to go as well. See you again soon.
Goodbye, Caleb. It was fun playing with you.
I agree with Chloe. See you later.